Alright guys, I know I haven't really made this video yet surprisingly, even though Major League Baseball season starts up in a few days. Actually officially kicks off this Sunday night on ESPN, Sunday Night Baseball between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Chicago Cubs. But with that being said, the rest of the league doesn't start until basically Monday. I know, it's kind of weird. That's just how Major League Baseball is, folks. But anywho, excuse me. So let's start it off, shall we? Prediction. I'm not gonna go into too much into details like who's gonna win the World Series, who's gonna win, because that video would probably be longer than 20 some odd minutes, and I don't want that video to be that long. So, anywho, let's start off with the American League East, shall we? Of course, the Baltimore Orioles last season surprisingly were pretty good. They were 96-66 last season, and shocked everybody, including myself. They won the division. I don't believe they went that far in the playoffs. I'm trying to remember. No, they lost. No, they did go far in the playoffs. They went to the ALCS and took on the Royals. Royals won. Thank you, Kansas City. And the Orioles, I think, they did lose Nelson Cruz this past offseason. It's obviously going to be a big hole to fill in their lineup, aka Steroid Boy. But anywho, speaking of Steroid Boy, Chris Davis suspended for like the first few months, I believe, or at least the first month or so. He's suspended for a little while. So, screw you. But yeah, Adam Jones is going to be hitting those home runs and RBIs. Yeah. And I still think the Orioles, at first I was thinking maybe they could be a one-hit wonder, but the more I thought about it, the more I think, okay, in this division, they're going to be competitive. So I don't trust the starting rotation. If you play fantasy baseball by any stretch of imagination, do not draft a starting pitcher on the Orioles because there's no consistent starting pitcher on this team, okay? Thank you. Because freaking Buck Showalter would go like, oh, you suck? You're going to the bullpen. Oh, you're some random long reliever that no one's heard of. You're ice. Like, who? But anyways, so that's what the Orioles. Yankees, excuse me, surprisingly they finished above 500 despite how bad they were last season. Yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. And you can say this because I'm a Red Sox fan. I hate the Yankees, but I'm not saying this just because I'm a hater. But yeah, they're gonna suck. Seriously, I mean their team is just filled with old ass talent that's either old ass, injury prone, or quite frankly a bit of both. Because that's exactly what they are. I mean, you don't know Mark Teixeira. I mean Carlos Beltran. I mean if this was like 2008, I'd be going, oh my god. I'd be scared as hell. That's the problem. It's not 2008. It's 2015. Alright, I'm not scared of this Yankee team. Alright, freaking spring training is going to be over in like 2 days, and they still don't know who their closer is. You gotta say more. I mean, the Yankees, oh god. I'm not going to say they're going to be last. I'll say they'll be nice. They're going to be second to last, because I'll tell you who's last in a second. Then we go to the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays, the Blue Jays always seem like to be one of those teams where the first month or two in the season they look really good and like, wow, the Blue Jays, yeah, they might make the playoffs, yeah. And the rest of the year is just a complete nightmare. I mean, you always have Jose Bautista get injured, you have Jose Reyes getting injured, the starting rotation just falls apart. I mean, sure you have Benoit Encarnacion always freaking hitting home runs like there's no tomorrow, but it's just, I don't understand about the Blue Jays. I mean, it's like the first few months of the season, it's like they're cursed. First few months of the season, they're good, and the rest is just like, it's a consistent basis thing. It's not like, oh yeah, this only happened like twice in the last like 5 years. No, this happens like every year. So, next you have the Tampa Bay Rays. This team will be in last place. I can almost guarantee you that. They have no offense, alright? Other than Evan Longoria and maybe, Peralta. That's it. Everyone else on the team is like, you can get on base, but I don't know if you could drive in runs or, get homers. Excuse me. I'm feeling like a little cold. But anywho, the Rays, I mean, they got that young pitching. They've always had that young pitching. And, their bullpen doesn't look too shabby. But still, I mean, I don't like this team's chances when it comes to, I think they're still too young in the rotation, and their hitting is just not going to be consistent, I think. Last but not least, the Red Sox. Now, I'm not going to be like some people and sit here like, oh my god, the Red Sox are going to go from worst to first again. they're going to the World Series and winning it. You know, I'm not going to go to that stretch of the imagination. I mean, great if that happened. That'd be amazing because we'd be the San Francisco Giants. Suck one year, be great the next season, and the trend continues. But I think the Red Sox, I think they'll compete for a wild card. I think they'll sneak in there a bit. I think they'll maybe be second in this division. Yes, I'd say the Orioles are a better team at this point on paper thus far. And, you know, the question obviously of the Red Sox is the rotation. You know, that bullpen looks pretty good. You know, they helped that much-needed lineup that needed help and driving in runs. The question is, though, one, can Hanley Ramirez play freaking left field? Oh, my God. And last but not least, obviously, who's going to be the ace of the rotation? Clay Buchholz gets injury-prone. He is injury-prone, I'll admit that. And he is inconsistent at times. You know, you get Wade Miley, you got Rick Porcello. Joe Kelly showed a little bit of promise at the end of the season. So, I mean, they got Justin Masterson. Yeah, this was Justin Masterson in 2013. I'd be psyched. But no, I really hope this isn't the Justin Masterson in 2014 that completely sucked on the Indians and then got traded for the Cardinals and still sucked. I just noticed, we love getting the Cardinals leftovers. Oh my God. Anyways, so that's with the AL East. Let's go to the AL Central. Detroit Tigers, I believe today they announced that Justin Verlander will start the year in the DL. How's that Kate Upton curse working for you, Verlander? And again, lucky son of a bitch gets paid millions and millions of dollars and he's banging Kate Upton, son of a bitch. Anyways, so moving on with this video. The Detroit Tigers. Obviously, they're going to be a slugfest team. I mean, Victor Martinez, J.D. Martinez, Miguel Cabrera, Cespedes. I mean, this team is just going to knock the ball out of the ballpark all freaking year. Alright, let's put it that way. And, you know, they're just going to be a fun team to watch. And, you know, the bullpen, Joe Nathan still probably going to have that high ERA, surprisingly enough. But, they're going to win the division because, let's face it, there is, like, well, I don't want to say there's no competition. There's maybe some, but I'll get to that in a bit. Then we got the Kansas City Royals, obviously a team that surprisingly went to the World Series last year. This year, I don't know if they're going to make the World Series again. They did lose quite a few people, particularly Billy Butler and James Shields in the offseason. So that's going to be difficult, I think, for them to, you know, replace those guys. But, you know, to me, on paper, they're like the biggest competition that Tigers have in that division. So might be the only competition, honestly. So next you got the Cleveland Indians, Quintero Francona, you know, bring the Indians to the promised land. And to me, I don't know about that, Skip. Because the Indians, I mean, yeah, they surprisingly had Corey Kluber. Who? I know, Corey Kluber, a surprising winner of the American League Cy Young Award winner last year. Obviously, he's going to be their ace. Their bullpen's kind of like mix of guys who used to be on the Yankees or the Red Sox. I kid no joke about that. I seriously admit that, and I'm not even joking. And, you know, their hitting could be relatively decent. I think the Indians are a team that's like, they're not going to be bad, but they're not going to be great. You know what I mean? And I think they could be somewhat good. We just have to wait and see. The Chicago White Sox, hey gone. Yeah, like, this team is going to suck. This team's not going to be good. I question their starting pitching. Obviously, you know, Paul Konerko retired last season. Don't say much Derek Jeter retiring last season. Yeah. Anyways, with the White Sox, it's like, I mean, they did add some interesting pieces. They added Matt LaRoche. They added Melky Cabrera. So they added some power in that lineup. So with help Jose Abreu, who was amazing last season. So, you know, I think the White Sox, they're in the right direction. They just aren't there yet. The Twins, oh my God. With the Twins, when your biggest offseason move other than Irvin Santana is Torii Hunter in 2015, you know you're going to suck. Like, this team's going to be bad. This team is not going to be good. Bottom feeding team, anyone? Yes, that's the Minnesota Twins. Anyways, so then we go to the American League West. We have the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I've always hated saying that name. The Angels, they got a decent amount of pitching. The hitting's obviously crazy. So, they're going to win the division. I'm just going to say they're probably going to win the division. You got Trout, Pujols, no matter how many suspension days that freaking Josh Hamilton gets, Josh Hamilton. And this team is just pretty much stacked, pretty much for the most part. So, with the Angels. The A's are an interesting team because Billy Bean's like, LOL, Moneyball, I'm going to trade everyone on my freaking team. So, with the Oakland A's, it's like, I don't think they're going to be bad. I don't think they're going to be great either. I think they have a good chance of being good. Will it be enough to go back to the playoffs? Who knows? Maybe they'll get that wild card spot with the Red Sox. I mean, who knows? We'll see. The Mariners are an interesting team because seems like they want to win now. When you have Robinson Cano, when you have King Felix Hernandez, when you have Nelson Cruz, Austin Jackson, this team is saying, let's go. Because this team is ready to compete and get ready to be a playoff contending team. Because I do think they are a playoff contending team. The question, of course, in Seattle, Safeco Field, being a pitcher's friendly ballpark, can they get on freaking base? It seems like every year I see a handful of guys on this team. That's not Kyle Seager or Robinson Cano. Oh, look, batting average, 212, 215, 220. 205. I'm like, ew. These batting average numbers are disgusting. Like, seriously, what the hell? I mean, that's obviously the big question mark with them. The Houston Astros. The Astros are an interesting team because obviously they've been a laughingstock for the last, nearly a decade. The Houston Astros have. And they're in the right direction. They got a lot of good young players. Jose Altuve obviously is their best overall, I think, hitter on their team. Gets on base, steals. But overall, they're just not there yet. Like, they have a lot of pieces of the puzzles fixed in there. They just need to finish up the puzzle, and I don't think they're there yet. But in the next, couple years or so, I think they have a chance of maybe making some noise. Obviously for them, what's hurting them is kind of like the Oakland A's. They do have a small budget payroll, so we'll see. But I think they're in the right direction nonetheless. The Texas Rangers. What about the Texas Rangers, man? This team's going to be last place again because they have the talent. It's not like, there's no talent there. They just can't stay healthy. Prince Fielder was out for most of the season. Yu Darvish is out for the rest of the season. I mean, their pitching always gets injured somehow, some way. Their hitters are just as injury prone. And it's like, good lord, can they just send their freaking trainer to Antarctica or something? Because this guy needs to be banned for life because this guy obviously is not doing this job right. If these guys are getting injured like there's no tomorrow. So anyways, let's go to the National League real quick. You have the Washington Nationals. Let me tell you something. I listen to Fox Sports Radio. I listen to the Ben Maller show. Ben Maller said it best. If the Washington Nationals do not win this division, there is a conspiracy theory here because the Nationals are clearly the best team in this division. Bryce Harper, Strasburg, Scherzer, Gio Gonzalez, Ryan Zimmerman. The list just goes on of all of the talented players this team has. So, they should win this division. Keyword, should. The Atlanta Braves. Remember when the Braves were good? Yeah, those days they're gone. Good old days of Andrew Jones, Chipper Jones, Jose Lopez, Mike Hampton, Tim Hudson. Yeah, those were the days, right? But, they still have a couple of good players. Freddie Freeman, Craig Kimbrell to, really name the very, very, very select few. The rest is just put it this way. When you have B.J. Upton, Blowjob Upton, a.k.a. Melvin Upton Jr. still on your roster, I question your organization. I'm sorry, I just do. But anyways, the Mets are kind of like the Astros in some sort of way. They're built around mostly young players. And I think they're in the right direction. Last year they were without Harvey for the whole season. This year they're without Wheeler for the rest of the season, the whole season. So they're getting Harvey back. Should be interesting to see where he comes from Tommy John surgery, I believe it was. So that's with the Mets. The Marlins are an interesting team. I think they have a chance to possibly compete. Obviously, Giancarlo Stanton, Jose Fernandez is coming from Tommy John. Giancarlo Stanton I just mentioned. He got beamed by a pitch in the face last season. Was out for the year after that. And they added some interesting pieces, particularly D. Gordon, guy is not going to obviously drive in runs or, freaking scoring home runs, but let me tell you something. When this guy's going to get on base with his batting average and steal, that's all he's going to do, and there's nothing wrong with that. I tried to in fantasy. Anyways, and last but not least, the Phillies. Oh my God! Remember when the Phillies in 2008 were good? Apparently, the Phillies still think it's 2008 because they still have Jonathan Papelbon. They still have freaking Ryan Howard. They still got Chase Utley. And I'm like, oh my God! It's been freaking like 7 years, and you guys still have these guys. And by the way, all three of you guys are probably gonna get traded somehow, some way this season. So, Phillies, they're gonna suck. Okay. Now you go with the National League Central, St. Louis Cardinals. It seems like every year some people are like, oh, the Cardinals aren't making the playoffs. And somehow, some way, they make the playoffs and they win the division. So I'm not going to be one of those people that says they're not, because they're just constantly, consistently, always winning the division. So I'm just going to keep it like that. Pirates, I think the Pirates, you know, again, they have a competitive team, a good team. Not a great team by any means, but a good team, a good competitive team. So I think that will continue. The Milwaukee Brewers, oh God. The Milwaukee Brewers, yeah, they're not going to be that good. It's just like Ryan Braun, and that's pretty much it. I mean, you know what I mean? Cincinnati Reds, the Reds surprisingly weren't that good last year. I thought they'd be at least somewhat competitive, you know, with Joey Votto and whatnot, but I think they're going to be a better team this year. Not a better team by, like, dramatic standpoint, but I think they'll be a better team than they were last year. Should be interesting to see how that pitching rotation goes. Obviously, they got Aroldis Chapman, the most exciting closer in major leagues. Yes, I said it. And then you got the Chicago Cubs, which, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, they're sending down Chris Bryant or stop their baseman. He's killing in the freaking spring training. I know. Dale Epstein's like, let me screw you Cubs fans just like I screwed the Red Sox until like 2004. Nah, seriously though. The Cubs, they got an interesting team. You know, they got a team that on paper, they are set to win. Now the question is, can they? Because remember, this team hasn't won a World Series in over 100 years. Let that sink into you. And last but not least, we got the National League West. The Los Angeles Dodgers, always high payroll team, always seem to be good. A lot of that thanks to Zach Greinke, Clayton Kershaw, Adrian Gonzalez. You know, we've seen this before. Yes, yo, league. I mean, they just always seem to be a consistent good team. San Francisco Giants. I'm a firm believer, thanks to spring training and recent history, that when the Giants win the World Series, they suck the very next season, a.k.a. World Series hangover. Hashtag. But anywho, the Giants, I don't think they're going to be a good team. I think this is the year when they just... So, the Padres have a chance of making some noise. They got a pulse. Obviously, they made a lot of big moves this past offseason. Will Myers. I believe they acquired Justin Upton, Matt Kemp, big game James Shields. And, you know, their infield is kind of but, you know, they still have something going for them in San Diego. So you got to give them credit for that. So maybe they can get something. We'll see. The Colorado Rockies kind of remind me of the, kind of reminds me of the like 2000 and like early 2000 Texas Rangers. Their pitching blows, but their freaking hitting is like power just screams all over the place. Like they got guys that could just hit home runs like crazy. And but the real problem though, also for the Rockies, is the injuries. I mean, come on, Carlos Gonzalez, Troy Tulowitzki. I mean, these guys are guaranteed to be on the DL by like May. And last but not least, Arizona Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks. Poor Paul Goldschmidt, man. I feel bad for Goldie. Like, the guy is like the only good hitter on this team. Everybody else is just like, oh God. Like, and the pitching actually, believe it or not, is not that bad. The pitching actually is relatively, I think, decent. But again, it's the hitting that's just like, good luck scoring runs from someone that's not named Paul Goldschmidt for the D-backs. But anyways, that's it for me, you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this prediction video. Sorry if it went a little long. You guys know me. I like to talk. You know, big baseball fan. Loved it since I was a kid. And I really wanted to talk about this before, you know, the season started a few days from now. So anyways, comment down below. Subscribe if you have not. Follow me on Twitter. Link be down in the description box as usual. And I'll catch you on the flip side, alright?